Hey guys, welcome to my new video, and I'm finally very excited to announce that my Naomi project for my arcade is finally over. I've spent the past couple of months trying to get the Naomi system with Netboot working with my arcade, and today I finally got everything working. And this video is just gonna go over about all the processes of getting it to work and all the things I had to do and all the issues I actually came across. And hopefully it'll be helpful for other people who want to set up a Naomi system Netboot for themselves, so that they have something they can follow and they'll be able to get their system working a lot hopefully smoother than I had to do, because I had to track down a lot of information from a lot of various sources in order to get my system working. So I hope you enjoy, but first of all, I'd like to thank all my subscribers for tuning into my channel. I recently reached over 500 subscribers. I actually didn't think I would even get that many when I first started this channel, but I'm glad there are people out there interested in this content, the material that I'm putting out. And hopefully, if you're not a subscriber, if you like this content, subscribe to the channel, and hopefully you'll enjoy the material that I put out, and it gives you motivation to make more videos like this. And also a huge shout out to the community at Arcade Projects. I wouldn't have been able to do this without the people there, especially people like Chunkson, who produced the Webboot, the WiPi Netbooter software itself, and he was very helpful in helping me getting it working with my system. And of course, all the other guys over there at Arcade Projects, they're all very helpful. And another shout out to Ken Westerfield, who if you don't know who he is, he's pretty much like the only guy who knows how to fix this Sega Naomi hardware. He used to be the lead engineer who helped fix all the Sega hardware in America back in the day, especially with the Naomi system. That's why he knows it so well that he was pretty much the only person who could help me along the way in this project. And in doing this project, I was very grateful that I got the chance to actually meet him. And yeah, so without further ado, I'll get into the video, and I'll take you step by step in what I had to do to get my Naomi system set up. Alright guys, so the Sega Naomi 2 and the Naomi came today, along with the NetDimm over here, which has the Ethernet port. And I actually had a friend who was nice enough to just give me the ones that he got, which he got off of a friend. And it's been sitting in his closet or something. He hasn't done anything with this, and he did ask me if I wanted it. And I said, yeah, sure. So I was lucky enough to get these. Now I can try to hook these up, hopefully, to my arcade. I have some other pieces that I ordered that are coming and that haven't arrived yet. One of the things I got is, as you can see, is a serial port splitter. So I want to split the signal eventually so that I can capture it via OSSC. So I can also stream what's coming out of the Naomi. But the main thing I need is the I/O board, which will be coming in a couple of days. And also I need the cable to connect to the power, which you can get a cable which connects your like a PC power source, PSU, and run the Naomi with that instead of getting like a specific Naomi one. I think they're much harder to come by, much more expensive. So just having the cable, and some guy like in France just makes them, and I ordered it, so that's why it's gonna take a while. But hopefully it'll get here soon. And once everything's here, I'll take another video of what I got. And then I'll walk through how to assemble it, and we'll try to figure that out. Now, what I find odd with this thing is that there are actually no screws. I don't know if the original thing's supposed to have screws, but see these little seats here, they just sit inside of these little slots onto the PCB, onto the bottom board. And it's not screwed in at all, and you just like kind of pull it open. It's sitting pretty tight, but it was kind of hard to fit it in, but you had to just jiggle it a little bit and it fits in. So it feels pretty good right now, but again, it can just open up, so that's kind of weird. Maybe I'll just tape it together to make sure it doesn't just pop open accidentally from moving or something. I've salvaged this PSU from this old computer that I had lying around that wasn't really getting used. It's actually my Groovy main machine, but that wasn't getting used anymore, and I salvaged a lot of parts out of it. And this is actually perfect because I got the PSU from it. And you see this line, this should connect to the cable. That'll eventually be able to hook into the power port here. And when the cable arrives, we'll hook it up and then we'll try to power it on. Alright, so the power cable finally arrived, so I can attach my ATX power PSU onto the Naomi power. And I'm actually using the Naomi 1 board here. And I got a picture of her
So I tried to use the Naomi 2 board, but nothing would boot up. I think there might be something wrong with the BIOS, so I'm gonna order a new BIOS off of eBay. I'm gonna put that in and see if that works. In the meantime, I can try the Naomi 1, and also one note on the I/O board that I bought. Apparently this is like a bootleg Chinese one. That's not the official one. I'm not sure if this will actually work. I haven't gotten to try yet, but I did order another Sega I/O with another adapter for the kick harness, so we'll probably end up using that, but we can see if this one works. So the Sega Naomi 2 is still not booting up. I replaced it with a new BIOS from that I purchased on eBay, and it still didn't boot up. So the next thing I'm gonna try is to replace this capacitor here, which they say tends to cause a problem. So I ordered some new ones, and let's replace them and see if it boots up. Hopefully it will. Alright, so we're back again with the Naomi 2. So I put in the new BIOS, and apparently, unfortunately, it also did not boot up, and I didn't get any images before. So I had to resort to actually getting some professional help. Luckily, there's a guy near me that's only a few towns over that I was able to take this to, and he actually specializes in fixing Sega hardware. And he was able to fix up the Naomi. The VGA chip actually wasn't seated correctly. I think because maybe in the past, whoever had this might have dropped it or something, and then it came loose. So the VGA chip was not working, and he was able to fix that for me. And I think he's probably the only dude like in all of America capable of fixing that. So I lucked out on that. I was able to get this fixed, and hopefully we can now boot it up with all the stuff attached. Also, on another note, so apparently the NetDimm also came with a link adapter for double Naomi in case you wanted to run multiple arcade machines linked together. And I actually didn't need this because I wasn't planning on doing that right now. So we took that off, and you see this thing's actually seated a little lower on here now. And now we have everything connected. We have the power supply, we have the I/O board, and also apparently the NetDimm was also missing the actual RAM chip in it. Yeah, so whoever got this from initially didn't exactly have all the parts, and I had to track down everything I needed for it. So now hopefully we have everything, and yeah, on to the next step. Alright, the Pi Netbooter is on. The super gun is connected, and now we have an image. Alright, I went to the service settings, and now I set my IP address to 192.168.1.2, netmask 255.255.255.0. Now we'll get out of this. I'm gonna put a link to the description to how to set this up based on the videos that I'm following. You can just follow those. You don't need to follow this video, but this is how I think you need to set up your NetDimm to talk to the Netboot from the Raspberry Pi. So I finally updated my NetDimm with the latest firmware, and it took me forever to do this because there's very little information on actually how to do this, and I had to go scrounge around the internet to figure out how to do this. So basically, you need to connect your NetDimm, like a computer, into like this router that I have, and also connect your PC also to the routers that are on the same network, so they can see each other. It took me forever. I could not connect the NetDimm directly to the PC, even with the crossover cable, and it was not detecting it. It was not working until I finally did this way, and I was able to ping the IP address that I was able to set finally on the NetDimm. And as you can see here, it finally went through with the transfer. All right, so that's one step closer. Alright, so the next update is I have been able to send a game over via the PC, not even the Raspberry Pi because I couldn't get it to talk. Yet with the NetDimm, I need to figure that out. I think maybe the IP is not configured correctly for the Raspberry Pi, but nevertheless, I was able to get the PC to send over Netboot the game, but it's still reset and gave me an error 31, so I need to figure out why that is. Now we're stuck on that, but at least we're talking to the NetDimm, making a little bit of progress. So I switched out the memory chip with another one. Luckily I bought two 256 memories, and I finally was able to get to the screen. And look at that. I was able to update the firmware. I think it's working now. And look at that, we are at version 4.02. Alright. Some more progress is being made. I finally was able to get my Pi talking with the Naomi and via this router. So now the Pi is actually sending and is able to talk to the NetDimm. However, we're unable to actually load the game because the game gets the memory check 99% and resets. It might have to do with either it not liking the RAM or most likely a power issue with the NetDimm. I'm not using an official Sun PSU, but I do have one coming. And once that gets here, I'll have to try that one out instead. So we're very close, and I hope the PSU fixes the issue, and we'll see what happens. You see how it gets to 99%, but then it'll just reset, and then it'll tell me that the game is not there.
Okay, a little word of caution, guys. While I was trying to figure things out, I was taking out and removing my zero chip, the PIC, and I broke two of the leads off of it. So now I'm kind of screwed and I have to order a new one. So yeah, be very careful with these. These are really thin and they break really easily. So it's a mild inconvenience, but still annoying. Just a word of caution. Okay, rather than waiting for the new zero PIC to come, I rigged together this little bootleg temporary fix for the one I already got. And hopefully this will work out. We'll use this until the new one comes. Let's try it out.
Okay, the zero PIC is in place. Moment of truth, let's see what it says. See if it likes it. Okay, it's gonna give me another error. It did. Oh my god, gateway is not found. Why? And we finally have success. I was able to bypass the zero PIC issue. The zero PIC I had, even with my modifications, apparently was not working. It was keep getting me the gateway error. So I decided to use the WebPi image, and I was able to finally configure it correctly for the NetDimm. I had to go in and SSH into it and mess around with the IP settings and add the NetDimm into the settings itself. And because I am using an older Pi, which is why I had to do this, if it was a newer version of the Pi, I could have just connected it via Wi-Fi with my phone or something, but I had to jump around hoops a little bit. But I was able to configure it correctly, and now, bam, we have the game going. The IO is not connected, but I'm gonna go connect IO now, and then we're gonna hook it up to cab and see what happens. Now, in order to access the menu, the WiPi menu of this Raspberry Pi, because it is an older version, it doesn't actually have Wi-Fi capability, so I can't connect to it via my phone. I actually had to connect it to my computer with a crossover cable down here. And then it accesses its own network, and then you actually have to go into Windows and go into the network settings and Ethernet properties, and then reset your IPv4 settings to the IP of 10.0.0
2, so you can talk to it. And then you use PuTTY to SSH into it. And then see how I have it set here. So it's good. And then use PuTTY in order to SSH into it and then run a script. The descriptions is in the arcade projects thread. I'm going to link that in the description below in case you ever have to do this. Hopefully you don't. All you have to do is get a newer Pi, like a 3B or anything newer than that, which has Wi-Fi, and then you don't need to do any of this stuff. But this is information in case you get an older Pi. Now that you got your static IP set for your PC so that you can talk to the Raspberry Pi, we just open up Windows PuTTY and we can SSH into 10.0.0.1, which is the static IP of the Pi. And then it's going to bring up a window. You log in as root. And the password is Raspberry. And once you're in, you'll want to type in this command in order to make it from a static IP to DHCP. And once you do that, I've already done this, I don't need to do it again, I'm just showing you, and you can just sudo reboot, and then your Raspberry Pi should be configured for DHCP, and you can just connect it to your home network. And then the next step that you'll be accessing the web menus via a computer on your network, and it's really easy, and I'll show you how to configure your WiPi.
So now I've changed the settings on my Raspberry Pi to have the DHCP instead of a static IP, and I just connected to my home network, and now I can just from my PC access it via web browser. And you want to type in netbooter.local. And then you're going to see this page. And so this is where you set the settings for your WiPi Netbooter, so that you can, number one, so it sees the Naomi system that you have. And I had to do this the first time. You go to Naomi 2. Well, actually, no, these are the games. You want to go to Setup. Then you want to go to Manage NetDimms. As you can see, I set up before there's nothing here, I set up the Naomi 2 here with the IP of 10.0.0.2. That's what I set it on my NetDimm, and then you add it into here, and then you'll be able to talk to it. Now I want to go to the options, setup options again, and I need to manage the Wi-Fi so that it does the keep alive, so my Naomi doesn't start resetting after 5 minutes. Alright, now we are in the options menu. So if you hit menu, go to options. As you can see, it has the time hack here, and it's been disabled by default, so I want to enable this so that it's going to keep the Naomi from resetting after 5 minutes. And now it's enabled, and I think now we're good to go. We can try to play our games and make sure that it doesn't shut it down, reset. Okay, actually, we do have to reset the WiPi to have the static IP again instead of the DHCP with this step. And I need to go into network configurations, wired setup, and I need to change the IP back to static IP back to 10.0.0.1, subnet back to this. And now it'll be able to talk with the NetDimm again on the same 10.0.0.2 IP. Because if I don't do that with the DHCP, I don't think they can talk to each other. And with that, I think we're able to plug everything back in and try it out.
Alright, I've managed to put everything into the cab now, but it looks like the frequency is wrong on the output. That's why I'm seeing this. So it looks like I'm gonna have to get that fixed. Oh my god, we are so close. Just need to figure out the refresh rate of the monitor, but we got the game going. It definitely looks much more crisp than the MGCD. Alright, the frequency thing was actually really easy to figure out, except it was really hard to come by the information. I had to look on one of the manuals for one of these games actually until it showed me what the settings are. So you want to look at the filter board here, and the first switch, if you switch it up, small,
like so. So now the first switch is up. That makes it 15 kilohertz instead of 31, and that's it. Here we go. I changed the output frequency to 15 kilohertz, and bam, everything's working perfectly. Finally, after all these, I would say months, I've been waiting for stuff to arrive, the parts that I needed to get this working. Here you go, running off of the WiPi through the Naomi NetDimm. I'm gonna have an output for video capture. I'm gonna hook that up next. But yeah, we got the game working. Finally. All right. Got the OSSC converter set up now. Now we got streaming capabilities, and plus I had a little issue with the kick buttons because I didn't plug in one of the cables actually that came with the adapters. So I finally plugged that in. I'll show you how to plug that in just so you don't make the same mistake as me, but yeah, all the kick buttons are working now. And the same with the player 2. We're ready to play some CVS 2. I just want to talk about the Sega I/O connector with the adapter real quick. Before, I actually forgot to attach this connector over into the adapter over here. That's why I was missing the 6th button. And also, in order to get the 6 kick buttons to work, you need to see this jumper here on the Sega I/O adapter, it needs to be set to the A position. The other side is the B position, so I also had to switch that. So with those two connected, and the kick harness to CPS2, now I have all 6 buttons ready to go. So now I'm gonna go into a little bit of the cost of this entire project, and I'm gonna break down little pieces of how much it costs. I know in my previous MGCD video, I said it cost me maybe a little roughly over $100 just to get that setup going, and it would be much more expensive to get that Naomi system set up, and that is actually correct, and I broke it down by line item to see how much exactly I spent on this project. Because of my situation, I had certain things that came up which caused me to spend more money to get it fixed, and also cost me less money because my Naomi system was actually donated to me, which I'm very grateful for my friend. And I was able to keep the cost roughly around, my total cost of the project, around a little over $700. And you can also see the breakdown where other things you may not need to spend money on and other things you may need to spend money on that I did not. So here you see the breakdown of the cost, and up top you can see the cost of the actual parts that I spent on the system, and the bottom is just a little extra cost of the project which I put into, including the OSSC converter, which actually was a little more expensive on the cost of items because I wanted to capture the footage from the Naomi. You may not need that yourself, so you won't have the extra cost on the bottom. And as you can see, a lot of the stuff they're not too expensive. For example, you see that the RAM is I got it really cheap because it's old, but it's also a little hard to come by, so you're gonna have to scour eBay or wherever. And also I bought, extra replacement capacitors, so those things, and cables. It's a little cost, they do add up. And the major cost for you will probably be the Naomi system itself and the NetDimm. And I didn't have to spend money on that. I just had to spend money on a little bit of shipping for my friend to ship it to me. However, I did have the extra cost of having my Naomi 2 beam actually not working, so I did need to contact Ken and have him look at it and fix it, and that was a little bit of a repair cost, and he fixed it at surprisingly a very, very reasonable price of $75. I'm very grateful that he was able to fix it. But I did have a backup Naomi 1. My friend sent me a Naomi 1 and 2, so I knew the 1 at least worked, and the 2 was one that needed fixing. So those costs may be different from you, but you may have other things that are not working for you, and you may need to spend extra money to get it fixed. So just know that there's a little bit of variability in the costs of this project. So I was able to save a lot of money because I went to the Facebook Marketplace to getting things like the Pi being secondhand, and Raspberry Pis are kind of expensive nowadays because of the chip shortage. Surprisingly much more expensive, like 3 times as much as they cost back in the day when there was plenty of Pis to go around. So I was able to get that secondhand off the Facebook Marketplace, and also I got things off eBay and Amazon. And I did not need to purchase an extra PSU initially because I had a spare computer that was donated to me, and I used the ATX PSU for that, and it is working. But I was recommended to use the Sun PSU, official Sun PSU for the Naomi, and I did go ahead and purchase that from a guy I know over from overseas, China. And that'll be getting here soon, but I don't necessarily need it, but I do kind of want it because they do recommend using the official PSU, because the Naomi system is very sensitive to voltages. And the only reason I ordered that because through all the troubles of me trying to get it to work, I thought maybe the power could also be the issue. So therefore I ordered the official PSU, but I was able to get everything to work without it. Just a little side note in case you want to spend that extra money to get the official PSU. So there you have it, folks. And that is the entire project in its entirety. I'm very grateful to have it being complete. This is definitely by far the most complicated arcade project that I have done so far. I'm not sure if I'm going to do anything else that requires this much effort and complexity. I had to put on my electrical engineering, software engineering, plus network engineering knowledge. And I'll put all the hats on in order to get everything to work, but I was able to do it, and hopefully this video will help you so that you wouldn't have to know everything about all these little things to debug your issues and get your Naomi up and running. Hopefully everything runs much smoother for you. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and if you like this type of content, please consider subscribing to this channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.